Welcome to another episode of Healthy Relationships with Heidi Rain. It's me, Heidi Rain. Welcome home. I'm so glad that you're here. How do you fix a broken relationship? We're going to answer that question today. Oh, I'm so excited. I have 3 simple steps to follow. Now, I said simple, but I didn't mean easy. All right. So like everything that I teach, there's a simplicity to it. And it's simple so that you can go deep into it, right? So you can go into the depths of the questions that I'm going to ask you. The questions are simple, but it's not easy to go there. A lot of the time when you work with people, there's different types of people. There's people that see the truth, and truth, by the way, is relative to your level of understanding. Right? That's the first thing. So there's some people that understand things so well that they see the truth. And I feel like I'm one of those people, especially in the area of dysfunctional and broken relationships. And then there are other people who see the truth when you show it to them. And that's you. You come here in order to learn more and more about dysfunctional and toxic relationship recovery so that you can untether and break free and have the psychological, emotional, spiritual, and physical freedom that you truly deserve and desire in your life. And there's a third group of people that when they see the truth, they don't want to see it. You know, they bury their head or they won't see it no matter how much you show it to them. So let's be the people today that are willing to go deep and see the truth so that we can finally break free of the toxic, dysfunctional patterns that we're running in our life and that we can heal for good and be the cycle breakers that we really want to be in our lives so that we can give the next generation a childhood they don't need to heal from. Amen. So you're in a broken relationship. Why is it broken? Well, many of the people that I serve are people that the relationships are broken because they're dealing with addicts and alcoholics or toxic, dysfunctional people. And you're the fixer. So you're here because your motto in life is, how can I fix this? So you're in the right place. I'm going to give it to you today. I'm going to tell you how to fix it. But just know that fixing is a long road. You know, the pattern that you're running, the pattern of the attachment personality pattern of fixing is really exhausting, and it's especially tiring when the people that you love and the people that you're trying to help just don't get it. And when you show them the truth, they refuse to see it. And so if you have somebody like that in your life that you're trying to help and you're trying to shine the light and you're trying to be the lighthouse and bring them back to hope and sanity, and they're still refusing to see it, at some point, that's going to make you really resentful, doesn't it? It makes you full of overwhelm, anxiety, depression, resentment, frustration, and then eventually you find yourself going on to the next person, but recruiting another person that's also broken, and you want to fix that person too. So I have I think a better way. I have an actual, courses that I run and programs that I offer to help you break free from that pattern. Actually, fixing people is not the worst thing in the world. It's just that you need to do it in a way where maybe you're charging for it, maybe you do it for your work, but in your relationships, you are not feeling depleted and it's like one-sided and you're one that's doing all the work all the time and you have mutually beneficial relationships instead of this take and give scenario that it leaves you feeling depleted. So having said all that, I am still going to teach you how to fix your broken relationship because that's why you're here. The first thing, step 1, when you're trying to fix a broken relationship is you need to decide if it's worth it to put it back together. Now, I want you to think of anything you might have broken in your lifetime, from a car that's broken to a piece of jewelry that's broken to a dish that's broken. Sometimes something's broken and you look at it and you think, if you're really honest and you really search the truth, you might say to yourself, you know what? I never really enjoyed that plate. That plate doesn't bring me a lot of joy. I don't eat off that plate very often. In fact, it's in the cupboard and I haven't eaten off that plate for a long time. And when I eat off that plate, I don't really enjoy it. I like the idea of the plate more than I actually like the plate. And then you say to yourself, you know what? It's not worth it for me to put it back together again. Maybe you have a fine piece of jewelry and it pops out of its setting and you take it to the jeweler and he says, it's going to be X amount of dollars to fix that piece of jewelry. And even though that might seem like, oh, kind of like overwhelming or a lot, maybe that piece of jewelry is super sentimental to you. You love that piece of jewelry and you would do anything to put that piece of jewelry together again, because every time you wear it and every time you look at it, it brings you immense amount of joy. Still, to this day, there are things about that jewelry, even though it's broken, that you love about it and you want to hang on to. Maybe there is a car that's broken down and you take it to the repair shop and they say it's going to be X amount of dollars, and the amount of work that it takes to fix the car. Now, I happen to have, I'm getting rid of now, a Mercedes. And I like the idea of the Mercedes because I was like, you know what? That's a car that's going to go forever. It's a big GL, whatever truck, Mercedes. And I always envisioned. And when I got it, I was super grateful for it. I was like, wow, this car looks so amazing. It's going to take me forever. It's a diesel, so it's going to last. I can drive this thing and run it into the ground. I'm thinking all the value I'm going to get out of it. Well, every time something goes wrong with that Mercedes, it goes into the shop and it's thousands upon thousands of dollars to fix it. And by the way, it was in the shop every other week. So I was getting more and more resentful. I was hopeful that this time when I took it into the shop, it was only going to be like a little repair, but lo and behold, it's a lot more expensive than I ever thought it would be. It takes longer to fix it. And eventually I decided, as much as I love this vehicle, the amount of stress and strain it's causing me is just too much for me to continue to invest in financially. And also kind of emotionally, because every time it's like, oh gosh, it's another stress on me that I'm thinking, gosh, now I have to like pour all my resources into this car over and over and over, kind of like tens of thousands of dollars into this car. And some of us have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on people's treatment and recovery, and we continue to do that and get more and more resentful every time. Now I know I've decided to sell that car, by the way. I'm getting a new car. And it's sad to see it go because I like the idea of that car. But in reality, that car just doesn't suit me because of the toll it takes on my life. Now, I know I'm talking about plates, jewelry, and cars. Or am I? What am I really talking about here? I'm talking about the relationship that you're in. Is it something to you that is so precious that and the reality of it is so precious that you want to hold on to no matter what? Or is it something that you like the idea of it, but in reality, it's costing you a lot more psychologically, emotionally, financially, spiritually? What is it costing you to continue to be in it? So is it worth it to you? And you really have to embrace the reality here, not the projected fantasy of what you think it could be. What is it in reality, and is it worth it to you? And by the way, here's a tip. You always want to overestimate what it's going to take to fix it, then underestimate it. I know for me, that was the problem with me and my car. I would underestimate what it's going to take to fix this car every time I take it in. And thousands of dollars later, I was surprised and shocked. And some of you think your relationship problems are a little, it's broken, but it's just cracked. But when you go to do the work, you find out, oh my God, the whole foundation is gone. There's mold and it's like buying real estate. Now we happen to buy real estate too. And so you get a house and you got to overestimate when we do like a fix and flip or anything like that. We think we've got to overestimate the amount of work it's going to go in order to fix this thing and then decide, is it worth it to us? And it's okay to feel that way. Yeah, even about people. I don't know what lie we've told ourselves that says that I've got to be the sacrificial lamb. I've got to sacrifice my needs and my feelings and be just okay and not really go for the thing I really want and really desire. It's okay to say this relationship isn't lighting me up or serving me or adding value to me. That's a hard flip mentally for a fixer, to go from all of your energy and resources into that person and making that person well and happy. Ultimately, that's your main goal. Instead of pouring all those resources into yourself and making yourself happy, right? That's a big switch for you. So that's step number one. Is it worth it to you? Now, if it is worth it to you and you've overestimated the amount of time and resources it's going to take to fix this and you say, I'm all in it, step two is you have to figure out what it's going to take to actually fix it. And this is where having somebody come alongside of you is really important. getting the support. Because most of the time when we try to fix a dynamic, especially like an addicted dynamic, we're putting band-aids on flesh wounds. And a band-aid on a flesh wound in an addicted relationship, attempting to fix it, is like they go to treatment and they come back and they're like, oh, thank God that's over. We're all healed and happy now, and let's put this in the past. But here you are, still left with all the resentment, all the hurt, and all the pain, and the cracks run very, very deep. And so in order to fix that, what's broken, you've got to have tremendous insight into how it's broken, in what ways. There are 6 specific ways that I've come up with, specific ways that we get broken in dysfunctional relationships. And if you do not know how to fix those 6 specific areas, then we're in trouble. And in my toxic relationship recovery program, we boil down this, actually 7 in that program, 7 areas where we are broken in toxic relationship recovery. And in addicted relationship recovery program, we break down the 6 different areas that were wounded. And if you don't know these things, if you don't know what these areas are, you're going to put a band-aid on a flesh wound and you're going to wonder why you're still hurting, or why it's infected again, or why it's not truly healing the right way. It's because we didn't take the proper care in order to really fix the things we need to fix. Again, you want to overestimate what it's going to take, not underestimate it. A lot of us are just, sweeping things under the rug, and we get to the point where we say it's worth it and we want to fix the relationship. But then when it comes to doing the work, one partner is hesitant or resident or reticent to do it, doesn't want to. And so then we don't do the thing we need to do. Now, do you need both people to fix it? Well, you can start with you if they're unwilling. But what I find is that when you have a partner that's unwilling to actually go deep and do the work that's needed to be done, that's feedback for you. That's an indicator that you might not be in the right relationship if you have somebody that's like, well, that's your shit. I'm not going to work on this with you. Now, let's say that you've said that. You've been in an addicted relationship and somebody's an actor alcoholic. Well, you said, that's your shit. I'm not broken. You are, buddy. Go fix your shit, right? Go fix your problem and I'll be over here perfect. We have a little bit of that perfectionism in us. I'll be over here perfect, and when you get better, then you can come back in and we'll have a good relationship. But again, you've been impacted by this. You have been in a war. You've been a victim in somebody else's internal war, and you have shrapnel. You have ways you've been impacted, and if you don't recognize what needs to be done in order to fix this, then you're in trouble. You have been impacted. Yes, my love, you have shrapnel from their internal war that you need to have picked out. Some of that shrapnel is the control issues that have been created. The control where you feel like you have to be in control all the time, and you need to learn how to relax and allow and not be so hyper vigilant all the time. The wound of a responsibility, feeling over responsible for other people's wellness and health and healing, and you're doing all the work. The wound of self-esteem. It affects us very deeply when we're in a relationship that's toxic or dysfunctional and we're smart. And that's only really the people I work with. I work with really smart people. And I'm talking really smart people. People that have gone all the way in school, have built big empires. I work with coaches. I work with healers. I work with all types of people. And they all say, how can I be so smart, yet so stupid, and have this situation? Well, that's because relationship-wise, you could be the smartest person in the room, but love has nothing to do with intellect for most people. The head and the heart are separate matters for most people. And why my logo is a graduation cap on a heart is because my intention is to marry those two things, to help you marry the logic and the heart so that you can make informed decisions and be in control and in charge of your own health and happiness, emotional health, psychological health, financial health. So it's really figuring out how you've been wounded. Self-esteem is one. Identity is another one where you've been wounded, where it's like you've been playing a role. You've been playing treatment center, you've been playing like a sober coach, instead of girlfriend, wife, husband, partner, so you're confused about who you really are. Maybe you've lost yourself inside of this relationship, trying to fix it over and over and over again. Lots of things that we need to properly diagnose. Like when you go to a doctor and you say, you're coughing a little bit and they're like, oh, let's give you some Robitussin. You're like, I think it's something else and it's actually lung cancer, and he's treating you for a cold. I mean, that's the reality of most people that are working in this environment, even in treatment. I've seen it a lot. When I worked inside of one of the world's leading drug and alcohol treatment centers, where I created and ran the family program with my husband and all the codependency program, we'd have therapists that would come in to get started, and we'd say, okay, great, what do you know? How much training have you had? They said, I had a semester of addiction training. It's like, shit, right? So you have to make sure that who you're allowing into your space to work on this relationship dynamic has the depth and breadth of knowledge that you need, and the insight and the understanding that you need around the healing. They've got to be equipped. That's one of the reasons that we want to we moved into certifying coaches as part of, Heidi Rain and our whole organization, Revolutionary Growth, our parent company, was because so many people are like going off half-cocked to help people in the area of dysfunction, codependency, and addiction. It's not enough training, and our aim is to fix that. And then the third thing, after you decide, is it worth it to you? And you overestimate what it's going to take to fix it. And you decide, yes, it is worth it to me to fix it. And the second step is you get the proper support that you need to pick out that shrapnel, the expert that you need to come alongside of you and pick out that shrapnel and help you heal systematically, one step at a time. Then you move on to the third step, which is having the patience while the glue dries. Having the patience. This is not a short game. And that's part of the overestimating what it's going to take, especially in addiction. People going to treatment, getting off drugs is the easy part, actually, believe it or not. It's detoxing from the old behaviors that can take up to like 1 full year for the brain to start to heal. And, somebody's still lying and manipulating and doing all these things, and you're scratching your head like, I thought that went and got better. A lot of the time we underestimate how long it takes to heal. We want the weekend plan. You know what I mean? We want the quick fix. Now, should it take forever? No. No, absolutely not. If you're still working on something 20 years down the road, it must be either really worth it to you, or you don't know the definition of how to gracefully exit. Some of us are loyal to a fault. We've been in this thing a lot longer than we need to be. When you are in therapy school, you're learning how to be a therapist. They tell you, like, look, if you can't make significant change with your client within 6 months, you need to fire yourself. Now, look, lots of people are in therapy for many, many years because they love the continual support and they love the sounding board. But to make change in a relationship, we're going to make a commitment for at least like 6 months to see if we can make significant change. And that's, really when I come alongside of somebody, I want that commitment, a bare minimum 3 months, but come on, 6 months, right? Let's work on this. Let's pour our resources into it. Let's see if we can transform this. Let's see if we can make significant change and be well on our way, and have that patience while things are settling into place. So, wow, that was a lot to share with you. And hopefully some of this is resonating with you, or all of it's resonating with you. And you're thinking, yeah, this sounds like a really good plan, Heidi. Tell me how to implement this. I'm picking up what you're laying down. I'm bagging what you're mowing. I'm smelling what you're stepping in. What's the next step? Well, the next step is always to put this awareness in motion, AIM, right? We put the awareness in motion and we set about the business of change. And that is joining one of my programs, letting me come alongside of you in our addiction course or our codependency course, or both, and letting me pour in my resources into you, go through that shrapnel with you, how you've been impacted, and systematically remove it. And if you're interested in that, you can always schedule a complimentary consultation over at HeidiRain.com, because really I want to make sure it's like a mutual interview. I want to make sure that you're a good fit for me and I'm a good fit for you, and that we can really get some good results, because I really only work with people I can be successful for. It's really, your success is important to me, and that mutual interview is a process to really make sure that I am going to have the results I want to have with you, and I believe I'm the right choice. And if I'm not in that call, I will point you in another direction. I'm not going to leave you without any resources. I'll always give you something else if I don't feel like we're a good fit, but hopefully we will be. And I'd love to come alongside of you and help you. Some free resources that I have, of course, subscribe wherever you are watching this episode or listening to it. And make sure that you subscribe and you get updates. And you can also go over to HeidiRain.com and download a free copy of my new book, Attachment Personality Patterns, Understanding Your Unique Codependency Programming. and learn more about the fixer and learn more about the relationship dynamics and the different types of attachment personality patterns that we run. And you can get that for free. And then you'll be subscribed and signed up whenever I have a workshop, a retreat, or more information on my courses. All right. I love you so much. Take excellent care of yourself. I will see you really, really soon. And as always, love yourself first.